That's Sparky.
And they're salty.
Somebody asked for Melty the lava lamp. Did you hear that one?
Melty the lava lamp?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could technically get one back there.
Shout out to Viking Apparel. We're going to be rocking some Viking shirts.
I know, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm going to rock my Viking Apparel shirt with, as we do in Amon Amarth video.
Why?
Because it's Vikings. It's like...
Oh, right. What, is it white? Is it a white shirt?
Pretty sure it's a white shirt.
Yes, I really hope it's a white one.
Why?
I've literally been thinking, because I like white shirts. And like, I don't know, I have so much
Racist.
black.
Okay, yeah, so
Plus, you look hot and white.
be on the lookout. That's because it's summer.
What the
Be
heck
on the
does
lookout
that even mean?
for Viking Apparel.
Okay.
Oh boy. Be on the lookout for Viking Apparel. Also, be on the lookout. We have we've been alluding to it. We have our interview with Aaron Raw.
Whoop.
Is that how you say his name?
I believe.
It's a two-parter, about 2 hours of content. Patrons, I think.
Yeah, we got some outtakes for patrons.
We've got outtakes, but I think it's going to be like a week in advance, right?
No, nobody gets only the patrons get the outtakes. That doesn't ever get released.
Okay.
But they'll get the actual interview.
Yeah,
a week before everybody else.
Well, yeah. So we're going to stagger it. So patrons are going to get the part 1 and then part 2. Both of those are going to come out a week in advance on the Patreon page, but you are going to get it. Everybody's going to get it. So if you're like, screw that, I don't want to pay no $1.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait it out.
Don't
That's
worry about it.
completely cool. Wait it out.
The $5 patrons are going to get the outtakes from the interview.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Slipknot, The Devil and I. Just some backstory. It's actually a sad story. So the bassist, Paul Gray, he died of an overdose.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the album was called The Gray Chapter.
Was he already dead by this point?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a really, it was probably actually for me one of the saddest moments because
you remember it happening?
Well, yeah. I mean.
Oh.
Because you always hear about these guys overdosing, but I came in, I only liked 3 or 4 bands. So, like, this was the first time there was a band that I really, really liked where somebody actually died. And, yeah, I didn't meet him. All the guys that I met backstage, I showed, that was in the chat. But yeah, here's the pic.
He told me these weren't going to come out in public, but here he is.
So I actually met Slipknot one time. This I got from Mick, numero 7. This I also got from Mick. This was actually the pick he was playing with at the show. And there's one I got from Jim that's currently my favorite pick right now that I can't find. Where'd that one go, babe?
I don't know, honey.
You're a terrible human being.
Yeah, well, actually, this room is pretty clean right now, so you can't blame me.
Anyway, yeah, so I had, obviously very close feelings for this band. And, yeah, it was tough to hear that Paul went out like that,
Yeah.
But, the band can...
I can't even imagine what it was like when it had happened, because you'll, read about some random person that you never knew even existed, but you'll read about their death story and it makes you all sad. So, knowing this person before, not knowing them personally, but, seeing their stuff and kind of connecting with them on a musical level and then having that happen, I bet that hit you really hard.
Yeah, it was tough. It was very, very tough. But the band continued on. This is actually, I'm pretty sure this was their first single after he died.
Oh, wow, okay.
They took a break for a while. They kind of went dark.
So was someone replacing the bass, or is that
Yeah. They replaced the bassist and they moved on.
That's gotta be tough.
You have to, but yeah. So here it is, Devil and I, Slipknot. Here we go. I never really listened to this song.
Why? It made you sad?
Probably. I probably avoided it.
these chains, my friend. I'll show you the rage I've hidden. Perish the sacrament. Swallow, but nothing's forgiven. You and I can't decide which of us was taken for granted. Make amends. Some of us are destined to be outlived. Step inside, see the devil alive. Too many times we've let it come to this. Step inside, see the devil alive. You realize I'm not your devil anymore. Under the words of men, something is tempting the Father. Where is your will, my friend? Insatiate, never even bother. You and I on the right, traded a lot for the leverage. In between the lambs and lights, you're not what you seem. Step inside, see the devil alive. Too many times we've let it come to this. See the devil alive. You realize I'm not your devil. I'm not your devil anymore. Your station is abandoned. Fooled you 'cause I know what you've done. Sensation, deprivation. You should have learned when you turned on everyone. So step inside, see the devil alive. Too many times we've let it come to this. Step inside, see the devil alive. I know you found your answers in the end. Step inside, see the devil alive. You realize I'm not your devil So step inside, see the devil alive, see the devil
Ooh.
I am a fan, a huge fan of this song. I think I really like Slipknot.
Think you like Slipknot?
Yeah, I think it's official. Like, you know, I really like it. And, you know, I really appreciate the energy that they put into their music. Is this one of their older songs or a newer one?
I mean, 2014, 4 years ago.
So that's not bad.
No?
Like I didn't know if they were like
This is
just
one of the
really
new
dying
ones.
out, man. I really I don't know what we're singing about.
I never listened to this song.
Did you like it?
No, I did. I didn't. I was trying to tell myself, like, when you're looking at the lyrics, because this is the first time I'm really looking at these lyrics, separate the whole Paul situation
from
the equation. Although, because I don't think the song is about him. Although some of us are destined to be outlived.
Yeah.
Insatiates never try.
Yeah. What's insatiates?
And to satiate means to satisfy thirst.
Oh. Okay.
To satiate a thirst means to satisfy, but if somebody is an insatiate, that means they can never be satisfied.
Ooh.
So it's probably a very exotic way of describing a person who's an addict, right?
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where's your will, my friend? Insatiates never even bother.
Bother what?
Under the words of men, something is tempting the Father. Where's your will, my friend? Meaning, where's your will to stop doing what you're doing or whatever? Insatiates never even bother to try to have a will to fight against that shit. So I don't think that this is totally about Paul, but I do think that there are some kind of, maybe even at a subliminal level, things where he's talking, because this is a relationship song, obviously. You know, not necessarily male or female or, you know, like you know, me and you type of but any type of relationship you have. But I do think there's some things in there where if it seems like it's more of like a conflict with a friend almost, that just ruined a relationship or broke a relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
Then, you know.
Well, let's start from the top. Do you know where my water is? Pass that to me, please.
Yeah, this is a good song.
Okay.
And you know what's interesting? I really stopped listening to Slipknot, like,
after that happened?
after Paul died. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I just didn't listen to him anymore.
You think you're still gonna stay that same way?
No, I mean, no, it's just, I don't know.
I really like their music.
Okay, undo these chains, my friend. I'll show you the rage I've hidden. Perish the sacrament, swallow but nothing's forgiven. So it's a conflict in friendships.
Okay. Perish the sacrament?
I'm assuming, you know, you're talking about the bread and the wine. You know, like in certain theologies, you take the sacrament to have your sins forgiven.
Yeah.
But here, you're perishing the sacrament, but nothing is forgiving. Like, it's one of those relationships where there's just, it's an unforgivable, something happened and it's unforgivable. And, you know, I'll show you the rage I've hidden.
Yeah, what is he saying? Undo the chains, my friend, I'll show you the rage I've hidden. You think he's saying, like, he's been holding it back, what's really bothering him, but now, friend, he's gonna let that fly.
Right. That's what happens when people don't communicate. If you don't communicate...
I do that to poor Vinny all the time.
If you don't communicate, eventually, it just explodes. And you're like, what are you talking about?
I know. You know what the thing is? I hate it when people do that to me, but then... You're right.
I'll show you the rage I've hidden. Yeah. But a lot of relationships are like that. That's why music like this resonates, because, you know, whether you're the person who is doing the holding in, you're angry and frustrated, and if you're the person that people are holding shit against you and you don't even know it, you're also an angry person.
Yeah, a lot of anger and frustration.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you know, swallow but nothing's forgiven. You and I can't decide which of us was taken for granted. Make amends. Some of us are destined to be outlived. That's a smart line. Like, if you've got beef with somebody who's important to you, one of you's gonna outlive the other one.
Yeah.
So make amends. You know, which...
Well, the one before that, you and I can't decide which of us was taken for granted, because there's always a situation where you're taking somebody's taking somebody for granted. Like,
really?
In a situation where you're upset with each other and things are not going, you're taking the person. Just talk to the person. Like, you're taking them for granted if you're not going to actually, the person that was holding in what the problem was, they were taking the other person for granted, because if you thought the person was going to die in 2 days, you would just talk about it, or you would just let it go. But you're taking the person for granted, and that's why you're holding it in.
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit different. I mean, it probably where I looked at it differently, as in, you have to decide which hill you're going to die on in your relationship. Meaning, like, yeah, you're getting taken for granted. Like, for example, you don't thank me every day for working for the family. Mm-hmm. You know, you just take it for granted that I'm going to get up and put in my 12 hours at work. And yeah, so you know, you don't thank me for that, but there's a lot of things I don't thank you for. And then once we started this, you know, thing that we're doing together, I've made a point to thank you because I know how hard it is to work. You see what I'm saying?
Because I wasn't working before.
No, but I'm just saying, like, to juggle everything. I know how hard that is. So, like, I make a point to thank you. But the point is...
You do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's pretty fucking impressive. Like, not having a skill set and then creating one, to me, is crazy. The way
I don't thank you. I'll be like, oh, you're so good at this, blah, blah, but I don't say thank you for...
Well, my point is I think that there's some things in relationships where you just say, I know that you love me, and I know that if I was to say, hey, are you grateful for this? Or you'd say, of course I am. Mm-hmm. So, like, what, you know, like, I don't have to hear that all the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, there's some things where you just have to go, yeah, they're taking that for granted, but, I mean, who cares? Like, is that something, that's how I look at it. You can't decide which one of us was taking who for granted. Mm-hmm. And it's like, who cares? Like, there's some things that you should just let go and let the person take you for granted if you love them. That's kind of my... And there's other things where, you know, everybody has, like, lines, but, like, I say to myself, like, is that something that's really that important? Do people have to thank you all the time for providing for the family? Like, that's your job, that's the role you took, you know? So I don't feel the need for that to happen. I'm just bringing that up to say, like, in relationships, you have to do that because you're around the person so much that there's a lot of things. I think if you really sat these two people together, these shooting parties, I am sure that both of them could point out a list of a bunch of things where you take each other for granted. Yeah. I'm sure there's lots of things that you do for me, like, that just happens all the time. You know what I mean? Like, while I'm working, like, you'll say, hey, do you want to rap? And, like, you make these, like, gourmet raps that are just unbelievable. And, you know,
laundry, socks,
or laundry, yeah. Like, I go in and I can. There's just so many things that you do that, you know, I take for granted too. You know, and so, like, if you were to say you never, you know, and that's where a lot of fights happen in relationships. And I think that, you know, Paul's death probably brought him to that.
I'm sure. Yeah, that always happens. Where when somebody dies, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, the reality of limited time.
Some of us are destined to be outlived. Mm-hmm. You know, in any relationship, one person's going to outlive the other person. You know? I mean, Barbara Bush died before George Bush Sr. Right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm probably going to go out before you. I mean, you know that's going to happen. So, you know, why spend the time? Huh?
I said I think probably.
For sure. Make a bunch of people happy. But
more people are worried you have some cancer or something.
Huh?
Or people are all worried now that you have some kind of cancer.
No, I don't have any. I'm pretty healthy.
He has an injured foot though.
An injured foot. You know what else is funny is that, like, obviously as a Christian, like, obviously in our relationship with God, we take everything for granted.
Oh, I know. Yep.
Like, you have one day called Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's so many things that God does, like, on a daily basis.
I think about that sometimes. I'm like, I'd be so frustrated if I was him because I'm like, every single person all the time, and then, like, then we're asking for more things, like having the sun come up and having running water and having, like, all these things. It's not enough.
Yeah, we deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's owed a sunrise. Like, I'm owed healthy kids, you know, who can run around and play football for an hour straight, running at full speed. Like, I'm owed that. You know, like, if you're a true theist, if you're an atheist, okay, but, like, if you're a true theist, even if you're not a Christian, like, God, like, gave you all these crazy gifts and you're completely unthankful, and the only time you start mentioning him is when something goes wrong, or something goes wrong with my kid. Now I want to start talking, you know, where he's given me millions of minutes and hours with my kids, and they've been great, and I haven't thanked him for 1% of them.
Right.
So, like, but again, this is where our narrative becomes...
That's true. That is something I think I've thanked him for the kids, but not thanked him for the time he's given me with them.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you know, one of my favorite preachers, he was talking about his dad who died, and you could tell he really, really loved his dad. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know, God gave me, I don't know, like, you know, 64 years with my dad, and he took him from me, and I'm grateful for the time that he gave me with my dad. You know, and you could tell that he really, really loved his dad, but he was grateful for what he had. And, you know, but this is the whole thing in the story where I don't think we've ever had a you take me for granted argument, at least from my side. I don't know. And it's because of this. It's because I really like that. That's in my mind a lot about how often we take God for granted. Like a lot of our crises of faith really is God like pretty much regulated our life for us, and then the minute something happened where he didn't regulate our life the way that we were used to, now we have a crisis of faith.
Right.
I mean, have we ever considered that maybe, and I'm not being trite about this, it's serious, but maybe a lot of our crises of faith is a crisis of gratefulness. You know, like, that's really the crisis. It's not, you know, because a lot of our, like, our pain even is rooted in, you know, like Maynard was saying, you know, our self-pity a lot of times is rooted in ego. You know? Like, instead of Maynard saying, you know what, I'm happy that he didn't kill my mother. Yeah, she suffered, but at least she was here and I had her as long as I had her. It's all this anger and all this. Anyway, I'm drifting off
because
here.
I think over time, like, he's going to start, like, and maybe it's an aging thing, like a maturing thing and stuff, he's gonna see things like, whoa, like my mom, like regardless of if he believes in her faith or not, like she believed in something to the point that it held her and it kept her, and like you gotta look at that and be like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So you know what I mean, there was things that he saw about his mom that he wouldn't have seen otherwise if she would have just died on the spot.
Yeah, this is a lot of stuff. Like this whole song, I get it. It's a broken relationship, but it could easily be about God and, you know, all that good jazz.
Oh, I thought I was gonna sneeze.
All right, so these two friends are fighting. Looks like an irreparable relationship. He's kind of looking back and saying, "Some of us are destined to be outlived."
Yep.
Step in. So here's the chorus. That was just
was he
fucking
talking?
much. Step inside.
Yes.
Step down.
Yes. I really liked it.
Fight.
Yeah, it had a good ring to it, like the sound, his vocals, the energy. I was like, that's right. I mean, I don't know. The devil
what the
and I.
fuck you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I do think. I think what it is anytime you have a conflict with a person, you always love to see the devil in the other person.
Oh.
And it says you realize I'm not your devil anymore. Like you're your own problem. But when you have a conflict with a person, people love to say, I am this way because of you.
Yeah, well,
you're
it's easier.
the devil.
It's easier to put it on somebody else because you don't want to have to accept it for yourself.
Yeah, like you don't want, you know, this is like embracing, you know, we talk about with Peterson and Carl Jung, it's like embracing the shadow self, knowing the dark parts of you. Like you have to see the devil in yourself to be able to actually that's the irony of the whole thing is you have to see the devil, the dark side, your own sinful nature. I don't care whatever you want to call it. You got to see in yourself that part of you that's broken and fucked up, that fucks up relationships so that you can have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because if you never see the devil in yourself and you only see the devil in the other person, then you're constantly pointing the finger at the other person. And you're constantly blaming the other person for all of your troubles. And so it's like step inside, see the devil in I, see the devil in yourself, right? And then you'll realize I'm not your devil anymore. That's how I took it. How'd you take it?
I was just focused on what it sounded like and enjoying it. To be honest with you.
That's most Slipknot fans. Most Slipknot fans are like, yeah, I don't care what he's saying. It's just so awesome. Under the words of men, something is tempting the Father. Where's your will, my friend? Insatiates never even bother. So don't tempt your Lord your God. Don't put the Lord your God to the test. Maybe tempting the Father. Under the words of men, something is tempting the Father. Where's your will, my friend? Insatiates never even bother. Like you're testing God. You're tempting fate. The word, actually, the Greek word for tempt and test are exactly the same. So when it says don't put your Lord your God to the test, it actually is don't tempt God is the idea. So maybe he's continuing with Christian imagery. And, you know, verse 1 he talked about the sacrament.
Yep.
And in verse 2 he's saying tempting the Father. Where's your will, my friend? And shit's never even bother. So this person, again, this might be a Paul reference where he's saying that he was doing something to tempt God. Because when you do these hard drugs, you're tempting, you're testing God to kill you or whatever. You and I, wrong or right, traded a
Something fake,
lie
I say.
for their leverage.
Yeah, what the heck? You and I, wrong or right, traded a lie for the leverage.
Well, it seems to me that that's talking about, leverage is something that like gives you the upper hand.
Yeah.
Right? And so you traded a lie for the leverage, meaning it would be wrong to say that you're totally wrong and that I am right.
Yeah.
That's a lie. But if I do that, now I have leverage. See what I'm saying?
Say it again? If you do what?
If I say that you're wrong all the time and that I'm right, that's a lie.
Yeah.
But if I do that, now I have leverage over you. See what I mean?
Yeah.
I trade a lie for the leverage. You and I, it says wrong or right. Mm-hmm. Right? It traded a lie for the leverage because in the previous verse he talks about you can't decide which one of us. You and I can't decide which one was taken for granted. Mm-hmm. And then it seems that it's progressed to where we both took the opposite position and said, no, you did it. No, you did it. So that's a lie because the truth is.
Oh, for leverage.
The truth is somewhere in the middle where we both took each other for granted. We both hurt each other. And by the way, I'm not saying that that is equivalent in every single relationship. Like, for example, if I started to beat the hell out of you, there is no, well, what did Sori do to deserve that and all that shit. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, if you're an abusive son of a bitch and you put your hands on women, like, you gotta repent. There's forgiveness for you, right?
But get the help you need.
But I don't want to say that, it takes two.
Right.
Because there's
That's a dangerous thing to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of really
people say
abusive,
stuff like
I've been in situations where, the young lady asked me to hit her. Hit me! And I'm like, no, I'm not going to hit you. Bang, hit me!
Young lady.
It wasn't sorry.
No.
It wasn't sorry. But even in that situation, you don't put your hands on a female. So it's really, really important. So I'm not saying that in every relationship it takes two to tango and all that. What I'm talking about is in friendships and things like that where it doesn't progress to that level, there's usually a reciprocity. But here, like this person's trying to keep all the leverage in the relationship. And if you're in a relationship where everything becomes about leverage, then you're in bad shape. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things I appreciate about our relationship. There's no, power grabbing. Mm-hmm. There's nobody trying to get leverage. There's nobody, we're definitely not the perfect couple. You guys saw that in the Ladder Alice thing. But, there's nobody, is trying to get leverage in the upper hand over anybody. And it's a lot less stressful.
I don't think I've ever been in a relationship like that, so I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I guess... Well, I mean,
because you had the leverage.
Is that what?
Well, it's very complicated. In between the lens and light, you're not what you seem. That's pretty clear. You're not what you seem. But then it goes into the whole step inside, see the devil in I. Mm-hmm. This again, I thought was about Paul. Your station is abandoned.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna look over there because bands, I don't know if you know this, but bands, after a while everybody takes a certain spot in the stage. Okay. Remember when Jonathan was talking about how Head came back and he's like, that spot's been very lonely.
Yeah,
because when Head left the band, they replaced him because they had to do a live show, but they made the guy stand up far off, not where Head used to be because they couldn't bear somebody standing in Head's spot.
That's so cute.
So think about it, you're touring for 10 years and then you look back at that spot, he's gone.
Ugh.
That'd be tough. That's a tough thing.
That would be so terrible.
Yeah, it's gut-wrenching. So your station is abandoned. Oh. I mean, it happens to these guys. Same thing happened to Metallica,
And it's not like with Head, he went off to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was getting better.
But this person
he's dead. He's not coming back.
By suicide.
Well, he didn't do it on purpose, but yeah, I mean, he killed himself in the sense that, he took a drug overdose, but it wasn't intentional. But yeah,
it's terrible.
But I don't, like I said, I'm trying to step out of it because it's very, very possible that maybe they wrote this while Paul is even alive because bands will do that. They'll write music before they, they say, okay, this will be on another record. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's about Paul, but I'm certain that at least post Paul, it could come to that meaning. You know what I mean?
No, what do you think it meant? Sensation, deprivation. You should have burned when you turned on everyone. That's where it sounds like it's not Paul? Or are you thinking turned as in...
Well, this is a person who, turned on everyone and left and all that. Like they're sensing that he's gone, sensation deprivation. They're sensing being deprived of him. That makes sense?
Yeah, but it said the station is abandoned. Like, you think it was somebody else that left? Like, to me that doesn't sound like it's Paul.
Well, I'm saying it's very possible that it was written while Paul was alive about somebody else. All I'm saying is meanings of songs evolve as time goes on.
Yep.
So, but yeah, let's say it wasn't Paul, it was somebody else, and everybody senses that they're deprived of this person's presence because they left, they turned on everyone. Because it seems like this person is blaming everybody for their problems or whatever, and blaming everybody and demonizing everybody.
Yep.
But it's interesting because Corey is demonizing him. You should have burned.
Yeah.
So basically, you're the devil.
Yeah.
And it's this like impulse as human beings where we have to like demonize people that we no longer have a relationship with. Like I think you have to have a certain level of maturity where you go, I no longer have a relationship with you. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means we're no longer going to have a relationship. But people can't do that. Like I was in that situation and I was saying, I'm not mad at you. I don't think you're a terrible person. It's just we can no longer. And it was just this big giant, instead of just like, that's a mature way of looking at life. You don't have to go here. You don't have to be like that with other people.
Yeah.
Why are you looking like that?
Well, it's hard to do. Like for me.
It's not that hard to do for me.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm immature. I mean, if I'm not going to have
It's a pretty self-serving way of describing it. That's a good point. Go ahead. No, that's pretty self-serving. I just think that this is not a helpful. I don't understand like people's need to do that.
Oh, because it hurts. Like when you're no longer in a relationship with someone. And so if you are only thinking about the good things about them, you're going to miss them even more and it's going to hurt even more. So if you can demonize them, then you can say, well, it's a good thing I did this, and then it helps.
Oh.
It feel less painful.
Yeah, I can see I see the rationale. It just doesn't seem to be very pragmatic to me because there's a reason that you were in a relationship with them, whether they were a friend or whatever in the first place. So how can you pretend? So everything was terrible? There's nothing you miss about the person?
No, you miss things.
But you just have to demonize them. It was like our son. He was at the ice cream place, and all the girls were in short shorts, and he's trying to control himself because we're teaching our kids to control their urges. So what did he say? He said all the girls were ugly.
He goes, look at all these ugly girls. I was like, what? Why would you say something like that? He's like, well, it's just that, I'm trying not to lust, he said. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh. I was like, I don't think that's how that works. Like,
well, I told him, I said, Jesus said, don't look at a woman with lust in your heart. He didn't say, don't look at a woman. I said, the goal is to look at a woman with love in your heart, not lust in your heart. So, calling her ugly still doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
You ugly bitch. I don't think that was the point of the Sermon on the Mount. But I think it's the same principle. Like, because you can't find an alternative to deal with the loss of the relationship, you're gonna say they're terrible and they're devils. They should have burned just because they're no longer in a relationship with you.
Well, I think
this
that's
is weird,
much,
man.
But
huh?
I said I think that's a bit much, but
I mean, I don't know. You listen to some people talk. Good night. I just think human beings are really having a hard time with handling relationships. I think we have a hard time handling relationships and accepting that not every relationship is going to be eternal or a lifelong relationship. Some of them are going to be, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, and when you have them, you enjoy them, but when they're gone, they're gone.
Well, I think that when you start a relationship, you expect that it's going to last the duration of your life.
See, I'm
not saying like work relationships. I'm saying close relationships. I mean, they can be within the work environment, but people that you actually get close to. Yeah, you're not like that.
I don't expect that.
No, you don't.
And that's because I moved. I moved around so much.
Right.
So I had a decision to make, which was get close to this person. I knew they were going to be gone. I knew we were going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So what was my only alternative was never get close to anybody, or get close to them, but know that it was going to be gone. So pretty much most of the people I run into in my life, like even when I get real close to them, I know that most relationships don't last for your whole life long. Like, how many people do you know that have had, like, real significant lifelong relationships? Like, significant.
I think that a lot of times that they stay together, but it's not significant.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. I don't have time for that time. You know, life is so short.
I think, well, I'm talking about marriages. Like,
well, no,
people
I
that
think marriage is different.
They stay together, but I don't know that a lot of them, the relationship is significant anymore. It looks like it's just
Yeah.
they made a decision and they're going to stick with that decision.
And I think there's something to be commended for that. A lot to be commended for that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, relationships outside of that.
Well, I think it's, like, sad in a sense. Like, it would be cool if people continue to work on their relationship. Like they said, yeah, we're gonna stick to the commitment that we made, but still they could maintain a friendship within that commitment.
Oh, no, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I obviously, that's the best of all possible worlds.
But I guess on that you have to have a lot of communication. You have to be able to see the devil in yourself.
I'll tell you what, that original sin doctrine's so helpful in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. You know, because I don't have to play a role.
You have to say what that doctrine is.
That we're all born in sin. We're all born sucking as human beings. That's something that Aaron, Ron, us agree on. Not that we're born in sin, but that we all suck collectively.
Yeah.
As a unit, we all suck.
We don't have to teach our kids to be mean to each other. They just do it. We tell them not to.
You gotta teach them to share and all that good jazz. Yeah, so I like the song. It's really, really good commentary on human nature. I think it presents a solution, but not a full solution.
Yeah.
See the devil in yourself is a good solution.
Yep.
You should have burned when you turned on everyone.
Not
good
Nah.
solution. But it's an honest. It's where 90% of people are when relationships end.
Sure.
Right? And then make amends. Some of us are destined to be outlived. Very important line. Mm-hmm. Very important line.
I agree.
And you got to decide who those people are in your life that, you know, I talk about it all the time, like being able to say that to my mom, you know, before she died. Because she died unexpectedly, but I was expecting it, but that's a different story. But, like, being able to say that was very important for me to be able to do that. So a lot of wisdom in this song. Obviously it doesn't, but that's just my philosophy. Maybe you know, I'm probably crazy. Maybe I should be mad at everybody I'm no longer have a relationship with and call them all devils. But
no, you look much more calm and healthy than I do.
Everybody that's no longer my friend. We had good times together.
Yeah.
I loved you when we were there.
Yeah, you still love them.
Yeah, you know, we were there. It was cool. If I saw him in the street, you know, whatever. We're just not gonna be. It's not gonna be like that anymore. Move on with your life. And I'll move on.
Yeah, I looked over and I kept right on walking.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
the other
homeboy.
day, yeah.
People are so weird. 2 years ago, it'd been, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, but it was just one of those situations where I was like, I didn't know, like, what. If I would have known, like, you know, what his reason was for being where he was, that would have been different. But I didn't know if it was going to be, like, another personal attack. So I was like, I'm not even going to go there.
Right. Anyway, what did you think of the metal? There was a certain melody in the song, too.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm pretty sure. So Mick is sort of like the metal, like metal guy. That's the one that I met, and Jim, also the one that I met. The one that the little pit guy.
Yep.
He's like raw metal, you know, chunky, you know, just crazy. And then Jim is more like artistic, more, you know, avant-garde. I'm pretty sure he came up with the melodic undertones. But when those two guys get together, they're probably, honestly, as a Korn fan. It's blasphemous to say it, but honestly, these two are probably a better tandem than Head and Monkey are. Because I feel like Head carries a lot of the load for both sides. Because Head does both, and Monkey kind of...
Yeah.
But, like, Mick and Jim are just both very... you know, just amazing, amazing artists.
Definitely.
Jim is the reason, like, after I met Slipknot, Jim was the reason why I said, fuck this, I'm going to be a guitarist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. That was, I'm like, I'm going to be a guitarist. That's it. It was because of Jim. And I think at the time he was playing a Jackson. So I've had 3 Ibanez guitars in my life. That's because of Korn. And then the latest one I have is a Jackson. Jaxie, because of the big homie. All right, what do you give the song?
A 9. 9.
It's a 9 for me.
I was like wanting to go higher because I just personally liked it a lot.
Why didn't you go higher then?
Because I was like, I don't know. Like, it didn't hit that, like, 10 point. Maybe 9.2.
It's a 9 for me.
It's a 9 for me.
Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.